Live from the Country Club of Fairfield, day 2 of the Connecticut Open golf tournament. And right now your leader is Bradley Saka at -9. Joining us on the hotline, Jim Penders, head coach, Uconn baseball. They have this awesome event coming up this week, and he is one of the people responsible for it. It's also partnered with House of Sports and Wheelhouse and Jim Penders. And Jim joins us now. Jim, how are you?
I'm great, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, my wife showed me this video of you. You look great, by the way. You're talking about it, and it's a free showcase, all-star tournament. There's going to be roughly 40 college programs scouting these kids, and it's free. So what could be better than that? How did this come to be? You know, how hard were the logistics? And God bless you for doing this.
Well, no, I don't deserve much credit at all. We have good friends. Gary Leshevsky has been a tremendous help to our program and to me over the past several years, and he and several partners and sponsors are putting on what we hope to be an annual event. What we hope to grow, and we're certainly going to have some growing pains. I wish we could have. We got such a great response. I wish we could have had spots for everybody that wanted to be in it, but you have to earn your way in, and there's some guys who are certainly going to be deserving that unfortunately are going to be left out, and I wish we could include everybody. And maybe it's a multi-day event in years to come. But the thing that really turned me on was, Gary is a Uconn grad, and he has young sons who are very interested in baseball and are starting to get into the travel ball operation, and we all know how expensive and how difficult and arduous that can all be, and there's a lot of good that comes from it, but there's also, it hurts the wallet an awful lot too, and this is an opportunity for hopefully some of the best players in Connecticut. It's Connecticut high school players only, and it's called the Connecticut Cup, and we're just excited that there's no charge for them. And I haven't been a part, other than the event, the great event that the CIAC puts on in June for juniors in Connecticut. I can't recall an event in my 3 decades doing this now where the tuition was gratis, and that's a credit to Gary and the folks that he works with. He saw a need, and he's got some corporate partners involved around this that could that rallied really to make sure that this happened, and hopefully we get a young man or two or a dozen that may be playing in front of a college coach for the first time, and might just open his eyes. And I think that's going to happen, and we'll be really excited when it does. I mean, my assistant coaches just got back from a big event in Georgia, and they're watching teams that supposedly represent our states. One of which they were very interested in following, in addition to Connecticut, were our neighbors to the north, Team Massachusetts, and they got back and they said, Coach, it's the best. It was very good talent. It was probably the best of the rich kids in our country. There were 2 public schools represented on I think it was a 30-man Team Massachusetts team. 2 public school kids from Massachusetts. That to me doesn't represent, not that there's anything wrong with private school kids. I went to East Catholic, proud East Catholic graduate, but I think we can be a little bit more representative when the tuition is free.
Hey, Jim, it's Michael here. Pleasure to be talking with you. I've heard nothing but good things around the people at Uconn and from Rob as well. I wanted to ask you about your program and just the longevity of having the longest tenured staff in Division I baseball, which with how quickly things change and coaches shuffling around is amazing in and of itself. What would have been some of the main principles that you instill in not only yourself as the leader, but also the coaches with you that have helped shape this culture and this program over the last couple of decades?
Oh, thanks, Michael. Good to be with you too. I've brainwashed them basically. They're stuck with me.
Good answer.
Yeah, the three guys that I work with, and I struggle to even use the word work because it really is a joy. It's a vocation and not a job. It's become a little bit more of a job in this era of NIL and the transfer portal, but it's still a vocation. And I know they look at it the same way. I mean, we're very lucky to be. I've been together with Chris Pedez where we were together in a dugout back in the early 90s here and played against each other in American Legion ball in the late 80s. So we've been familiar with one another a very long time, and we're kind of ancient now. But Jeff Horrigan and Josh McDonald played for me as an assistant coach, or actually Jeff came over when the first year I was a head coach from Clemson, and fortunately, all four of us have been together since the summer of 2011, and we're proudly the longest tenured Division I staff in the country, and I really can't take credit for that either. I mean, they have they're all Connecticut guys. They have extended families here, so that's certainly an advantage. But they all, their spouses are Connecticut natives. They all went to Uconn. We all have a strong affinity for the place and the people here. But I can't take any real credit. I've been very lucky to keep them because they have had opportunities to make more money, to go elsewhere, and yet they stick it out. And I think they share my intention to, when we get to Omaha and raise the trophy, it's going to be a lot more glorious doing it with Connecticut on our chest than anything else that could be on our chest.
Talking with head coach of Uconn baseball, Jim Penders, coming up this week. They are having a Connecticut Cup, and you've got roughly 40 colleges. How important is that? I mean, you're just, obviously the free part is amazing, but also getting on the radar of colleges and stuff like that. Like, I know Josh McDonald is one of the best recruiters in the country, and he works for you in Uconn. Obviously, is the pitching coach, but also having to go watch a lot of these games, and it's almost impossible to see everybody at every high school and every even junior college or D2 or D3 school. Talk about that, putting these kids in front of all of these colleges and giving them an opportunity to get on some coach's radar that maybe if he didn't even know this kid existed before this week.
Well, I think the coaches are turned on to it for some of the same reasons that, Rob, I mean, there's very few levels where baseball today is merit-based, and I can say that for most youth sports. I mean, sometimes if dad and mom can pay the $4,500 or the $8,000 or whatever it is for that summer, you're going to get your 2 at-bats in the game, and you're going to get your two or three innings on the mound, and it's not merit-based. I mean, I'd argue that even in the minor leagues, I don't think it's much of an argument. I think it's pretty well understood that even the minor leagues are not merit-based. If George Springer were to have gone 0 for 30 in A-ball, he's playing the next night over the guy hitting 350 that was at that time, a 40th round draft pick. It's not necessarily merit-based. But in high school baseball, you played for a guy, a legend in John Fontana, that he wanted to win games. He was as competitive as they came, and he knew baseball too. And there's some high school coaches that might not know nearly as much baseball as John Fontana, but they sure as heck want to win. And we have to win in college baseball. If I don't win, I've got a mortgage and 3 kids. I get fired if I lose enough games. So I want young men that are used to earning their way and earning their keep. And I think the coaches, it wasn't a hard sell for them when they said, okay, how do kids get in? Oh God, they got to be good players. Okay, well now I'm even more interested. And so it's an opportunity, for them to see some, not just good players, but guys that have earned it. And those guys are getting fewer and further between right now. And if they haven't earned it and they get here by mistake as freshmen or as transfers, and we make a mistake on them, it's obvious that it just isn't going to work out. Oftentimes you have to kind of deprogram these guys that are used to being kind of given things and handed things, and then when they get here and they don't get those 2 innings on the mound or they don't get those 2 at-bats in the inter-squad, they don't quite understand it. And I need a team of therapists to help them out, and it doesn't ever work that way. So when guys have to earn their way, it makes it a little bit those guys are more attractive, I think, to all of us to recruit.
Jim, I'm going to tell you a real quick story. One of those kids that's coming to this cup, and he plays for a school where I live. I coached him for like the last 4 years. Did not make his high school team, was cut, came back a couple years later, made the high school team, and now going into his senior year, he's one of the captains. So you talk about merit-based.
Thank God to finish with that. Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I mean,
we got a kid coming that didn't make
no,
high school.
but listen,
Okay,
and he is one of the greatest kids. One of the he will grind out every inning on the mound every time he's playing center field. This kid's a great kid. But honestly,
awesome.
this is the perfect event for kids like that. from all of these schools. Like you said, I went to Southington High. It was a public school. You know, we have 2 world champions from Southington High. But like you said, my coach won nearly 700 games. I didn't even play, and it's tough to tell kids. I didn't play varsity baseball till I was a junior in high school. And people are like, "Oh, you were pretty good." I'm like, "Yeah, I was really good. Not pretty good. I was really good." And I didn't even start.
Really good.
I didn't even start in high school till I was a junior. So yeah, you know, Southington High was not easy.
Kudos to your parents for not having you transfer out and go somewhere easier. You know, you had to fight your way through it, and you know,
I didn't
find
mind.
a way to get into that Blue Knights lineup, right? I mean,
Exactly.
so yeah. Nowadays, I'd argue, you know, he's not playing as a sot. We got to go somewhere else, and you know, that's
reclass.
That's the transactional nature, right?
I've had kids that
it's the way
reclass and go
of the
back
world
to
right
their
now.
sophomore year again. You're so right, Jim.
Right. Yep. So it's good for them for having you stick it out, and look at what happened.
Coach Penders, back to UConn for just a second. You alluded to NIL. How much more difficult is it for you guys, or how have you managed, I should say, rather, recruiting with NIL for you guys, as that is just ever so changing the landscape as we know it, you know, year after year?
Yeah, I'm grateful to have some, but there's so many with much more. You know, so we do. David Benedict and his staff have been incredibly helpful to us here. And we're one of the only schools, frankly, I believe we're the only school in New England that has any NIL or rev share. But it's, you know, it doesn't compare to schools in the SEC, to many schools in the Big 12, to many schools out west. We're going to have to do things differently here. We're raising more money for scholarships, but there's a different, you know, there's difficulties there. If we have one more scholarship on the men's side, then David and his staff have to find another scholarship on the women's side. So it can be, you know, difficult. But he's done an awesome job of hiring staff that can help us do those things, and we have been able to add some there too. But it creates challenges in that when I give it away, and I don't say give it away, I want to believe that they've earned it. We're very judicious in how we distribute it, and the guys come in for their exit meetings after the last game of the year. It's a really difficult time emotionally, and we try to give, you know, the guys that have earned something, you know, a little bit, and in attempts to, you know, keep them around and keep them working hard. But as I tell them each when they sit down is, you could get more money elsewhere, just so you know. And I wish I had it for you, but we're somewhat restricted with the cap, and we're grateful to be at the cap at Uconn. That's another credit to David and his staff. But we don't have buckets and buckets of money, so it is more difficult. We need to do a little bit more on the narrative there. Like we need to educate some people as to what we have and what we don't have. But the right people are coming to UConn. I mean, Robbie Rispoli he's our captain, our returning captain, shortstop. He's a Chatham Angler this summer. He's an all-star along with Oliver Pudvar in the Cape Cod League. And right after the draft, he had a six-figure offer from a Major League Baseball team to sign as an undrafted free agent. He's coming back. So he had a chance to make more money and realize his dream, but he also realizes the opportunity here, and that he has developed here academically, athletically, socially, and he's coming back. So there's still going to be, I talked to, you know, Dan Hurley tried to talk me off a ledge, figuratively, not literally, in early June when we were getting into portal season, and he said, hey, if it makes you feel any better, you know, I'm a national runner-up with 4 returning players next year. And so it happens to everybody, and you got to find a way to compete and adjust, and that's what we're doing. So we're never going to be able to outspend everybody in college baseball. So the right people need to see what's happened here, and that's, you know, winning more games than anybody else in the Northeast since 2004. That's putting more people into professional baseball than anybody else in the Northeast. I think you'd have to go down to the University of Virginia, geographically anyway. That's probably the closest one to us that's done a better job in those 2 categories. So we're in some pretty, you know, rarefied air with what we've done, but it's not enough. We're not going to be happy until we're lifting the trophy in Omaha, and the right young men are attracted to that. And we need the best in the Northeast, and that's part of the design of this event too. We're going to young men from all over the state of Connecticut to come see Connecticut, to come see the university, and some parents that might have seen it 30 years ago that won't recognize it. And that's also, we're going to be very grateful for that opportunity this week, too.
Oh, no. And I'm married to a Uconn alum, and we just took our daughter to field hockey camp at Uconn. It looks nothing like – listen, my sister went there in the 70s. It looks nothing like it did in the 70s. I wanted to ask you, because so many of these kids that I've coached in the travel leagues and stuff like that, from like 12U to 18U, don't realize that you will take kids from Division II schools or Division III schools sometimes in the transfer portal. Explain that sometimes a kid doesn't develop till his sophomore or junior year, and that you don't have to have the highest expectations coming out of high school to eventually play at Division I.
No, that's absolutely right. And sometimes we'll advise guys to go elsewhere. And even though, the young man, this is his dream school, I love hearing that. But I'd rather be the dummy that didn't recruit you and run into your parents in the grocery store than the jerk that had to cut you. And we're going to be very careful with the Connecticut high school baseball player, period, because they're our bread and butter. That's what makes this place go round, is the Connecticut baseball player. The high school player from Connecticut is always going to be the centerpiece of how we do our recruiting. So we're going to be very careful. I was like that with my own son. I told my son Hank, who caught Frankie Mazzucato at East Catholic on the best East Catholic team ever, won a state championship with Martin Fiore at the helm 5 years ago, and caught a first-round pick in Frank, and they won every single game that year, including clean sweep in the playoffs. And he wound up being all-state, 6'2", left-handed hitting catcher. I didn't think he was good enough. He wound up being an all-region performer at Eastern Connecticut, and when he became good enough, he didn't want to leave Eastern Connecticut and play for the old man. So, and that's just fine. He had a great experience with Mike Oldenwalder and Brian Ham at Eastern. Played was on a national championship team as a freshman, and so he had an awesome experience there. And sometimes sometimes there are Division I talents that wind up in Division III. And that's not the end of the world. That is not a tragedy. He's going to get to where he's going. He just took a phys ed job this week in Wyndham, and is going to keep his hand in college coaching with Coach Oldenwalder over at Eastern. So sometimes it's not. It happened with my own son. I wasn't smart enough to recruit my own kid, so I can screw up too. But at the end of the day, he's better off doing exactly what he did. Division II, there's some great programs in Division II. There's some great programs in Division III. And a lot of those programs are going to be here on Thursday, too. So we're excited for those guys to get a look at some of the talent, too.
Jim, would you or have you in the past show some of your pitchers, specifically your relievers, Rob Dibble highlights from back in the day to learn from one of the great ones?
If you want to show absolute passion and energy and a guy with the will to win, along with a little aggressiveness in the clubhouse. I love the clip. I know you guys are buddies. But that just shows, how competitive, you put those two guys pitted against one another. I don't know if there's two more competitive people on the planet. So, we on occasion, when he visits and he's up here every so often, he's in a game every so often, big leaguers look different. I'm not patronizing them, but they look different. And college baseball players can just sense that and recognize that. And invariably, guys will whisper in the dugout, "Hey, who's that coach? Who's that coach?" And then you get the phone out and say, "I'll show you who he is."
It's the nasty boy.
Yeah, that's right. So, occasionally we'll show a few of Rob's highlights for sure.
Love it.
Jim, you are the best. Good luck with the Connecticut Cup. Anything we can do to help, we're always here. And good luck recruiting. Good luck recruiting. I know you guys are out there, getting the best talent to come to Uconn. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, appreciate it. You always need luck in this game.